Okay, let's go.
He wants to jump
1,000 cars. Sir, you have 1,000 cars.
I don't think I'd attempt to try this stunt.
Or we owe this horsepower to Uncle Sam.
Too many cars.
Car. You know, roses would be...
Like I put my beer belly on it.
If you can't immediately tell somebody how many cars you have,
you'll really give those uppity yuppies something to think about.
Stay on the bar. Don't go off the bar with your Bronco.
1980 Volvo horns. What's right?
Yeah.
I want the man's coolant.
and he's like, "Oh, I thought it'd be small. It's for a small car." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's still an automatic transmission. They're never going to be light."
It's definitely going to have to crash.
Starting off with Brad buying another car.
That's the West.
Internet.
You know, is this a Nigerian oil print?
I also wish you drove a tan Camry.
Anyways,
Anyway,
that's a
horrible,
very
horrible podcast content.
very
Talking about a picture.
inside joke.
It loves to be driven hard.
It is. All right. Welcome to Auto Off Topic. It's been a while.
Not intentionally,
No,
but yes. So you went away.
I did.
We have to catch up on your trip.
Yes.
The secret sauce that nobody knows is that we did already do this a
Yes.
while ago, and the whole thing, after like a solid hour and a half recording, deleted. Deleted.
It missed like half the recording.
Right. And then we got super frustrated, and we were already on break, and we said, you know what? We're going to take a little time and take some time off because we're just annoyed. And we've been doing this for what, like 8 or 9 years now? So
Yeah. 2016.
closing in on 10 years.
Yeah.
So it was like, you know what? We've done this for almost 10 years without ever taking a break. We'll take a few weeks. And then a few weeks turned into a couple of months, and here we are. But we tried, and it failed. Basically, we tried, it failed, we got pissed off and said, it's time for a break. So here we are. We're back.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll make some more changes, and everything will be better than ever.
Well, this will likely sound different because we're actually recording on a recorder like we did old school, just directly into the recorder. This is like first 3 episodes.
Yeah, we're sitting in the same room with each other, talking directly into an H4n with no mixing board, no nothing. So there's nothing to screw up. Keep it simple. Everything's good.
Yeah.
Unless the H4n corrupts memory card.
I hope not. I hope not. After
if
I was
you
just
didn't push record, you won't know anyway.
I
so
was
it doesn't matter.
I was just talking it up how stable they are and how good they are and simple. So
Well, hopefully it works. The other podcast that I used to record for a place I used to work, we used this method, and it worked every week. So hopefully it's fine. And they're still using this method, I think.
I mean, if you can just do it in person, we'll just fly you back every week.
We just need to fly them back like once a month, and we'll just stack them.
Okay. I think, yeah, can we write that off? We'll figure out how to write that off.
First, we need to make money first.
I think it's better if you just keep losing money.
There has to be like a debt-to-income thing, I think. I don't think you can just spend and not make anything. I think there's got to be something.
Maybe.
I do have an LLC still set up for
There you go.
for a Vine Garage there, so it may make something happen.
I'm going to take a quick picture here. We'll put this, you come join the Discord because I'm going to put this picture up of my cat sitting on Brad's lap during the podcast.
Pushing down on the cord that I'm trying to hold. Anyway, so the main reason we initially took a break was you went to Japan.
I did.
I know we've already chatted about this, but nobody heard it because it went in the trash. So
That's true.
is there anything you want to repeat and tell about your trip to Japan?
Maybe
we'll make it a slightly abridged version of what we talked about before.
I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, I can actually do that faster now. I can tell the story faster.
I mean, there's so much to talk about. You talk about where you went, the cars you drove, hanging out with naked men in the pool, all the stuff you did.
Yeah.
All over again. That I heard about, nobody else heard about.
I can make it a lot quicker so we went to Japan for 3 weeks, and I'll just say the first couple of days, like first 3 or 4 days, we went there. Didn't really do a lot of car stuff. We did some culture things.
Lame.
Yeah, it was cool.
No, it's actually super cool. I would like to see culture stuff in Japan as well, not just car stuff.
So there was, but we went from Tokyo to Fuji Speedway fairly quickly because within a couple days, the Japan, it was like Rallying in Japan was a special exhibit, was leaving on April 8th.
Hey, what museum was this?
Fuji Speedway Museum.
Okay.
Fuji Motorsports Speedway Museum.
If you don't get it exactly right, we'll just say it's lost in translation.
Yeah,
So,
I wanted to see. I mean, there was a lot of cool Japanese rally cars there, and some other European rally cars. So I wanted to make it over there first. So we got over there, that I've knew about Fuji Speedway from Best Motoring and stuff, and the hotel has only been there since 2021 or 22. We figured out.
so it's a recent addition.
Really new hotel. I don't know where you would stay before, but it's this huge complex, this gorgeous hotel that overlooks the track, and the museum is inside the hotel. You can go inside. You can go inside to go to the museum. If you're not staying at the hotel, it's totally fine. But we decided to stay at the hotel, which is really awesome. If you can, you should stay at the hotel. It's gorgeous.
And the views overlook one side the track, one side Mount Fuji.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't want to. I was like, I look at racetracks all the time, and we're gonna go look at the racetrack, and do a hot lap, not like hot laps, but
Parade
pace laps.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let's get the Mount Fuji view. And I guess, when we got there in April, it was pretty rainy. And we got there, it had rained mostly every single day, the 4 or 5 days we were already there. By the time we got to Mount Fuji, it was still raining and foggy. And they're like, oh, Mount Fuji's just being shy, they say. So I opened the curtains and it was all socked in with fog. And I was like, oh, okay. Maybe we'll get to see it. And then sure enough, the next day it cleared out and it was this gorgeous view of Mount Fuji. So
There's something about mountains, no matter where they are. Going to Seattle and looking at the mountain views there is so different than
it's
living in Phoenix and looking at the mountain views there because they're all different.
so it was April. It was still snow covered.
Right.
They don't let people hike it till July because it's 14,000 feet. It's basically the height of Pikes Peak. But the where it is, it reminds me of Mount Washington and New Hampshire, Mount Washington Valley.
Sure.
Where you've got a lot of lower 4,000 feet peaks, and then Mount Washington. I'm going to say Mount Washington is only 6,000 feet. It doesn't sound very impressive, but for New England, it's the highest peak.
Yeah, by a long shot.
And it's covered. It's above tree line, and it's usually covered with snow, even in the spring. It's
Well,
about
the
the same
interesting
time.
fact is because it's only 6,000 feet, you wouldn't think it's impressive, but it goes from green forest all the way to permafrost, even though it's only 6,000 feet, where other mountains in the world at 6,000 feet are still covered in trees.
Yeah.
But it's because it sticks so high above everything else around it that there's no protection for it, so that 6,000-foot peak is permafrost.
Yeah. It's it's above tree line. It's not really permafrost.
Yeah, it's permafrost. Looks like permafrost, I guess is what I should say.
But anyway, that's what it looks like. If you're from New England, you'll know what it looks like. The cat is being ridiculously silly on top of you.
Yes, it's climbing me and is what it is.
Clawing you.
It's all good.
So anyway, yeah, new podcast challenge: climbing cat.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this is what happens sometimes when I'm recording. She'll just come up and grab me from behind while I'm sitting in the chair to get my attention.
It is what it is.
But anyway, don't go for the belly. You're gonna get the hug and bite. Yeah, Mount Fuji's gorgeous. It's cool. So we were there for a couple days. The first day, the museum didn't open until 10 or something. We were up early. I was like, I want to go. It was a Friday. I was like, I want to go check out and walk the track. I like walking racetracks and checking them out because you can walk down, and there is the original corner, the 30-degree corner that they had in the late 60s, early 70s before they got rid of it because it was too dangerous. There's a park, a memorial park, that has the banking still down there, so you can walk down.
That's the corner when you watch the Skyline GTR video. You can see
Best Motoring one, yeah.
I'm sure everybody's seen
fresh,
that.
you can put
It
her
has
down.
basically the soundtrack of just the S20 inline six dual overhead cam, just wailing as they drive around the track.
Yeah. So I was like, all right. I got on the bellhop, and I was like, can I walk out of the track? And he's like, yeah, you can. We have a gate. You go down, you swipe your card, you can walk right out the gate, and you're right on the grounds. And I was like, all right, cool. And I was like, how far is it to the main grandstand? He's like, 20-30 minute walk. I was like, all right, that's a good walk. It was nice out. It was finally sunny. It wasn't raining. I was like, I'll walk down there. I took my camera, and I'm walking down there. It gets to about 9 o'clock, and all of a sudden cars go hot on the track. And there's a couple Toyotas driving around. And they're like, it was like a GR86. No, sorry. Yaris and the Corolla GR, and they're like driving around. I was like, oh, that's like what I'm going to do tomorrow. And it's like, I thought they were just doing like hot laps or parade laps or something. And then I see a sports car in camo, and it's very loud and definitely sounds like a V8 or V10, probably V8. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I'm like, there's not really many people around. This is kind of interesting. So I keep going. I get down to the main grandstands. And I realize that there's a bunch of people in the pit garages, and these, camoed cars are like going in, going out, and getting adjusted, and they're driving around the track. And I was like, wait a minute. I think I've stumbled onto a Toyota test day, because this looks like the new sports car they were talking about that they need to run for, like IMSA racing and stuff and endurance racing.
Yeah, because their old car is like 10 years old now.
Yeah, the Lexus, like the Vassar Sullivan car, they're going to replace that and whatever that they're going to call it. So I was like, that's pretty cool.
The GR GT3.
Yeah, so like nobody's around. I was like, this is kind of weird. So I keep walking and walking, and then I get down to the end of the corner. Oh, somebody else got some spy shots.
Yep, I just pulled it up to get the name of it right. GR GT3.
And I get down, and there's like some security people, and they're like, oh no, you can't. I was like, I can't be over here? Like, no. I was like, well, I'm here.
Yep.
I was like, can I just walk down to the thing? So they let me walk down to the park, and I got down to the 30-degree banking, and then I missed the sign that said don't climb it, but I climbed up it because nobody was around. I was like, well, I'm already breaking the law.
Yeah, they can't arrest me twice.
So, yeah, might as well break more rules. But then I couldn't walk back the way I came.
Right,
So,
because they weren't allowing you to walk through there.
yeah, so I had to walk all the way around the outside edges of the property and then out to the street and then walked back to the hotel.
Oops.
So I didn't get back till like 11 o'clock.
Turns out that was probably way longer than a 20-minute walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I walked in, I told the bellhop, he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's like,
I mean, it is what it is. I didn't get arrested. All is well.
yeah, he didn't know. And he's like, and then later on when I was checking out, they're like, oh, yes, sorry, sir. Your card was not supposed to work. It was supposed to be shut off. And
It's like giving you the hotel key to the wrong room or something.
yeah,
Like,
they're like, we had a couple other guests that went out there by accident. I was like, oh, but then if you're up in the hotel, it overlooks the track, so you can see it anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Well, they probably don't want anybody close up, I guess.
Yeah, but so that was really cool.
You came from America to get all the secrets for the new GR GT3 and give them to the American teams.
Yeah.
So they could be ahead of the game.
So then I took my time. I went through the museum. Museum is not super big, but there's a lot of really cool stuff. It's got a bunch of like brass arrow stuff in the bottom. You're like, all right, whatever. There's of course, a replica of the 999 Ford that I've seen replicas of like multiple times. There's one in the Daytona Museum, I think.
Yep, the race car.
And then there's like there was a Honda early F1 car. I think that was real, or maybe it was a replica. They're very proud of that.
The kind of off-white one with the red dot.
Yep, they had the real
66.
They had the real Datsun from one of the Queensland rallies, one of the rallies across Australia. The early Datsun, the red one with the big, like maybe the driver's side fender, I think, is just like crushed, like originally crushed during the rally.
It's like a Datsun sedan.
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of the bubble top kind of looking thing.
Is it from the mobile?
Yeah,
reliability challenge.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's like a maroon color. That's real. That was cool. There's a couple other Can-Am cars.
I've seen a Toyota from that event.
Yeah, it's funny. They had I saw it when I get to the Toyota Museum. There's one from that event at the Toyota Museum. So then that was it was interesting because they had another little section that had an Indy car, and they were talking about Indianapolis Speedway. I was like, I've been there too. But once you went upstairs, that's where they had the special exhibit, and it was really cool because they had, some Italian stuff. That I think there was a Delta, some other Fiats, but the cool thing, there's a Lancer, there's an Evo 3.
They had the experimental MR2
Yep.
Group B car.
Yep. Then they had the Celica. I forget which one it was. The another African one, the rear-wheel drive Celica.
Mm-hmm.
A Renault 5, Turbo 5. I mean, there's so much cool stuff. And then the coolest thing was the Group E Starion prototype. That was just kind of pushed in the back.
I would fly to Japan to see that car for a day. I would do the 20-hour flight or whatever hour flight it is. Fly there, look at that car, and then fly home and be content. So
yeah, that was impressive.
Insanely jealous about that.
I think I kind of even forgot that maybe that was even there. I think I just saw that the exhibit was Japanese rally cars. I'm not even sure if I saw that was there. I can't remember now. But seeing it was super cool. So
yeah,
I don't know what the new exhibit's going to be, but that whole area, Mount Fuji, that speedway area is really cool. The next day we did, I was able to do, you can rent a car for parade laps, which I knew I was going to be kind of disappointed because it's a little more tricky to do a track day in Japan.
Because you're a track day bro?
Yeah, it's a little more tricky than doing it at the Nürburgring. There's no, what I should really do is just get some money and just set up a company to just do track days at Japanese racetracks. There must be a way to do it.
Sure. Sounds very simple.
I think you need licensing, but people were walking in on the Saturday that we went to do it in the morning, and they were just buying tickets to go around to do
in their
laps
own car?
in their own cars. But then we did this parade lap thing, which you could do in your own car if you wanted to. But we did it in. They let you borrow. It was like maybe it was 80,000 yen or something. It wasn't super expensive. A GR Yaris because it had a back seat.
Okay, because you had your son with you.
Yes. So yeah, we put him in the car seat. They let us run it, and Stephanie came, and we just did like 3 laps.
But then they also let you use the car outside the track too afterwards, right?
That was different. So I had to do a manual transmission check to drive the car around the track, which was funny. And the guy's like, "Oh, you've driven?" I was like, "Yes, like 30 years."
Yeah. A minute or two. Sir, I drove a manual transmission with a broken Achilles tendon. Okay.
Yeah. Interesting. I didn't learn. I was like, why is the Corolla not allowed for 4 people? And then we're talking to some other American there. He's like, oh, it doesn't have a back seat. The GR Morizo edition doesn't have a back seat.
Sure. It's like a carbon block-off panel or something.
Yeah, but I was like, that's kind of weird. Like, I don't think you can buy that. Maybe you can buy that version in the U.S.?
You can, but I think it still has a back seat.
It'd be like such a waste to buy a 4-door car with no back seat.
Yeah, that's weird.
And that you can't buy I was like, well, I'd rather drive the GR Yaris anyways because I can't drive that in the States.
Yeah, the forbidden fruit. Might as well.
I don't know. I don't find it to be a big deal to drive right-hand drive manual. It doesn't bother me. The only thing that moves is the wipers and the washers.
The turn signal get switched.
And I definitely did that a couple times. But so that was really cool. Other than just being a little bit slow, but you could feel that car is pretty fast. That would be a really cool car to have, and I could have hustled that thing around the track if you're allowed to.
Be nice if they sold it here.
Yeah, because it's like the perfect size. But it was cool. I mean, once I got on the track, it was like, oh yeah, I remember this from maybe it was like GT4 or GT5.
Years of all the video games.
Well, none of the Forzas have had it, but all the GT games that I think after like 4 had it. And I was like, oh yeah. Once I was at ground level, I was like, I remember this track. It was weird little unlocked memory, but it was pretty cool. And then the same day, the hotel was pretty cool. Like part of like, I let Stephanie went and had a massage. Part of the reason for her having a massage was that they're like, yes, you had the massage. Get to borrow our GR86 for like 4 or 5 hours and drive it around.
That's a random perk for having a massage.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take it.
So I was going to take the manual GR Morizo edition, which apparently Morizo is some tuner that's based on the Nürburgring, so another tie-in to things I've done.
Yeah, he's an employee of GR, though, right? I think.
I guess, but they have like a shop near the Nürburgring where they tune these cars.
Yep.
And it was like, oh, this car was tuned in the Nürburgring. I was like, well, I'll see about that. But come to find out, that one doesn't have a back seat, so I had to take the automatic GR86 because it had a back seat.
It is what it is.
So whatever, which is fine because we were driving on the street road. Now they gave me this nice route, and I was like, yeah, that's cool, but we want to get over to this. There was this shrine not far away that was on the other side of Mount Fuji. That you'd hiked up this little mountain, and then there's a shrine at the top. It's a very picturesque spot. Lots of people go there. We're like a few days early for cherry blossoms. There's some insane pictures of cherry blossoms, this shrine, and then Mount Fuji in the background. But I have just a nice picture of the shrine and Mount Fuji. But anyway, I didn't realize, like I should have she told me that they had a nice route that went up and over like this mountain road. And I don't know. I thought we needed more time. So I like took like the highway, but not realizing the car was like beeping at us about some warning. It's because it didn't have the electronic toll thing in it. So of course I went through the wrong thing.
Sure.
Getting on the highway. Then the arm wouldn't go up. Perfect. So then.
And it's very easy to talk to a person in Japan in your no Japan language.
Somebody had to come out. We had to give them the yen. And they opened the thing for us. We're like, sumimasen, sorry.
That means sorry in Japanese?
Yeah. So then coming back from there, I did no tolls on GPS. And it took us the fun mountain road that I should have taken before. I was like, man, I really wish we'd taken this on the way out. Because coming back was basically on the newly released Forza Fujimi Kaido. It's essentially that road.
Sure.
You go up and down around this hill or a small mountain, and you can see Mount Fuji, and it was really cool. And like, I mean, the speed was pretty high. It was like, I think it was like 50 kilometers an hour, which is pretty high on the downhill.
Yeah, that's probably 35.
This is a dude on a road bike that was like in front of me, and I wasn't catching him on the downhill. I was like, I'm just gonna let him roll ahead, because he's doing 50 kilometers too, and so am I.
Like a bicycle?
Yeah, on a road bike, like full road bike get up, like a real road biker.
Sure. Yeah, man would like to hear that because she loves to go down mountain roads.
Yeah, he was whipping. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna. I didn't pass him until we got to the bottom in the town.
Yeah, there's no reason to.
Yeah.
If he's not holding you up, stay behind him.
It wasn't.
It's not worth it.
But that's a cool car. I even being automatic, I had never driven a GR86 or a BRZ.
My entire experience with them, unfortunately, comes from basically parking lot driving. So I would like to drive one, like actually drive one as well.
It's funny. We saw one today or yesterday. Marco was in the car. It was the bright blue color.
Sure.
And he's like, "Is that a Ferrari?" I was like, "No, that's a GR86." I was like, "That's like the black one you had in Japan." He's like, "Oh, are we gonna get one of those?" I was like, "Maybe. I wish."
Better chance than a Ferrari.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a cool car. I'd definitely consider one.
Yeah, I like them. They haven't gotten cheap, the early ones.
No.
My hope was they were
really
going to get
popular.
cheap and I would buy one, but that didn't happen. So, I mean, that's a perfect, like, daily Phoenix car, too, because they're rear-wheel drive. We don't have to worry about snow there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know I've often thought about buying one of those, but I never have because I also don't want to ruin my old cars. Like, driving a rear-wheel drive modern car might ruin all my old cars for me.
No, so that was a really cool car. I liked it. What did we do after that? Yeah, that was pretty much it for Mount Fuji. That was a cool.
I mean, it's a pretty solid amount of stuff you did. So
yeah. Then we did. I'm trying to think, a bunch of like non-car stuff in between. We did all the touristy things. After that we went to like Hiroshima. Oh, that was the bummer. The Mazda Museum was not open at the time. I would have gone to it, but it wasn't open till like the following weekend. So I was like, all right, bummer.
Closed for the season, the winter,
something like that. So I was like, all right, whatever. So we did like Hiroshima. It's really nice down there. That was the furthest we went south, and then we came back through Osaka, Kyoto, and then up back to Yokohama. And then coming back from Kyoto, I was like, all right, we'll stop. You go through Nagoya. I was like, we'll stop and go to the Taito Museum, but it wasn't open that day. I'm like, it wasn't open on Mondays. So
did you ever get to the Toyota Museum?
I did.
Okay.
So we ended up back in Yokohama. We went all the way back, and that day we went to the Moon Eyes Cafe, which was really cool.
Okay.
Super American hot rod stuff.
It's like American hot rod stuff, but also
Japanese
lots of
flair
parts for Japanese stuff.
Yeah.
They love their like mid to late 60s Toyota Crowns. They make so many
Yes.
cool parts for them. In fact, I think they have a whole separate company called Crown Classics.
Yeah, that's a very cool store because it's like maybe we talked about it, but Moon basically got bought by a Japanese company.
Sure.
And they built this cool store, and they have like a 50s cafe next to it, which was cool.
Is that the Area 51 they call it?
It's Area 51.
Yeah.
Moon Eyes Area 51. So it was Area 1. Sorry.
Oh,
So,
yeah, my brain went to Area 51.
Yeah,
Area 1. Moon Eyes Area 1 is what it is.
Yeah, Area 1 was it was called Area 1 because during the occupation after the war, it was occupied by the Navy, I think.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know it had a history like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was one of the like military zones for the U.S. after.
Like U.S. military zone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that makes even a cooler connection to the American hot rod side of it.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it's great to talk about occupying other countries and
Well, it was after the
countries
war.
that were on the wrong side.
Or they're yeah,
It
it was
is what
after
it is.
they,
Yeah.
they were doing the rebuilding afterwards. But so that was really cool. Definitely go there. It was on my list. And then
You know, there's a Moon Eyes shop right in Southern California, and I've never gone.
yeah, I guess the next time we're in like the LA area, we should probably try to go there.
Yep, for sure.
But that area is LA area is so big that we often don't get to all the car stuff.
No, and it's not like, well, living in Phoenix, it's only a, 4.5 hour drive.
Yeah.
I could just be like, oh, I'm going to the Moon Eyes store this weekend. I just haven't done it.
Yeah, I like the we did. So after that, it's the crazy thing is you have all these Shinkansens, which are the bullet trains. So you can just do like day trips from a lot of places. So like, even though we were back in Yokohama, there's a Shinkansen station there, and it stops in Nagoya, and you can get there in like an hour and a half, hour.
That's awesome.
It's like several hundred miles. So we went back to Nagoya, and then you take another subway from the Shinkansen station. It's actually like a monorail kind of, and it literally stops within walking distance of the Toyota Museum. So a lot of the stuff was done without car. We only had the cars like I only drove a car once, that GR86.
Yeah. You only drove a massage car. That was it.
Yeah. So, yeah, another definite place if you're going for car stuff in Japan is go to the Toyota Museum.
Yeah, I've heard the Toyota Museum is one of like the preeminent museums in Japan just because of the amount of cool stuff they have.
And I think like a week after I was there, they did their big outside festival. They have like a big outside car show festival.
That's cool.
So, yeah, there's so much cool stuff in that museum. They have everything again. Of course, they start like brass era, beginning of cars. The museum starts on the first floor, then kind of winds up, and then you get to the second floor, and you're into like the 50s and 60s. And a bunch of American cars, the 59 Cadillac, all that stuff. But intermixed in that era of cars, they not only did they have American cars mixed in, they had Japanese cars of the same era next to them.
So the first like post-war Japanese cars.
Yeah. Interestingly, when you go back to the early cars, I didn't realize pre-World War II, Chevy and Ford were building vehicles in
Japan. Yeah, for the Japanese market.
Not just knockdown kits.
Mm-hmm.
They had factories that were building like early Chevys, early Model Ts, which is kind of crazy. I didn't know that. And then they also had the earliest Datsun ever built in the museum.
Okay, the silver and red one.
No, it was like dark green. It looked like a miniature Model T.
Oh, okay. So there was one that used to be in the Hershey Museum that I thought was the earliest. It was the earliest Datsun in America.
Probably.
Maybe that's what that was.
This is the earliest one that was built in Japan.
Okay.
Or that it still exists. But yeah, it's cool to see the design stuff of 60s Japanese stuff next to 60s American stuff. They had a few European things thrown in there. And
well, 60s Japanese stuff looks like either an American car or a European car.
Yeah.
With, when you look at the bottom of it, British mechanicals, basically.
Yeah, they're just copying everything.
I mean,
making it better.
They didn't have a lot of resources at the time, so they had to do what they had to do. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and then like I like when they're like, so then you get up, and it gets into more the mid '60s, and then you can tell where they're really proud because it's Toyota Museum. They have the 2000 GT on a pedestal,
as they should,
with a S800 next to it.
As they should. A Toyota S800, I assume, not a Honda S800.
Yeah, they had a S600 on display just in front of it, though, the Honda.
The Honda one?
Because that was Honda's first car, I think.
Mm-hmm. It was.
So, yeah, I mean, it's not just, it is a Toyota Museum, but it does have all significant vehicles of
Japanese.
No,
they've had a bunch of cool stuff in there. I know they even have a giant Mitsubishi section. So
Yeah. Yeah, and then it gets into the 70s and 80s stuff, which was cool.
I mean, our wheelhouse, right?
Yeah, they had a Datsun 432.
A Z432.
Yeah,
that's cool. They also have the Safari Rally winning 240Z.
No,
No? Okay.
not there. Maybe they've had it in rotation, but they didn't have it there when I went there. That Celica, is it the TA-27? It's like that yellow one on the shelf there.
The first Celica, basically?
Yeah. One of those, and they got another 80s stuff. They had a Honda City with the Motocampo behind it. Completely stock Honda NSX. Completely stock R32, GTR. Several gorgeous, they had a gorgeous 8086 that was like bone stock. In this, I forget what, in Japan, what a Priva, the Toyota Priva is called. Esteem?
The Previa?
Previa? Is it called
Yeah,
Esteem?
Esteem.
Yeah, one of
Or
those.
no, Estima.
One of those that was like
Something like that.
absolutely gorgeous. That a GS400, and then LFA. I was like, all right, yeah, LFA. Which, again, I've talked about this on the podcast. For an extremely rare car, I've seen a lot of LFAs.
Yeah, I've seen like 3 last week.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm like, like, so yeah, that was pretty cool. And then, strangely, they had like a Mitsubishi i-MiEV.
well, I mean, it was a pretty significant
Yeah.
car, I guess, time-wise for a full electric car.
Yeah, Leaf, first gen Leaf.
Again,
Yeah.
significant for reasons that aren't really enthusiast reasons, but something.
But yeah, it's a really cool museum. I would definitely go into it. Then they have like a little annex building. Is a special exhibit. It was like 75 years of the Crown, or 70 years of the Crown. So
I can't fact check
they
that,
had,
so I won't.
They had the first model all the way to the current Crown on
Okay.
display.
Do they have any Crown pickup trucks?
No, just all sedans. Then they had another room that was just car. It was like the car culture room. So it was basically like my basement, but much bigger and in a museum.
Just a bunch of model cars.
Yeah, they had several displays of just stacks of Tamiya model kits.
I mean,
And I was like, I have that one, that one, that one, that one, that
if
one.
you were an RC diecast lot car model kit nerd, you could probably be charged to come hang out in this basement.
Yeah,
There's a lot of cool stuff
I
here.
should charge you.
All right, I rescind my idea.
There's
I just bought dinner. It's fine. That's my payment.
they had like, a bunch of display cases with like, grill badges, all that stuff, and model diecasts, model kits, posters, all that sort of stuff. I didn't get to do it. I didn't go upstairs, but they apparently had like a library of all books. I should have gone and looked through there because I should have seen if they had.
You're a car book nerd.
I know. I just didn't get to it.
Would be cool to see if any books that you worked in publishing were in there.
Yeah. Then they had like a DVD, like a movie section was in the back room of all famous car movies. They had a little cafe in there and food. We had food. It was pretty cool. I got some like rice dish where the rice was in the shape of an old Toyota.
I'm into it. Like they use like a cookie cutter.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I had this thing that it's like super popular. I didn't get it at the Moon Ice Cafe, but you get, it's like melon soda with a, it's an ice cream float, but it's melon soda. So it's like this.
Okay.
It's like this like coolant green soda, but it's like super popular to get melon soda in Japan.
Okay.
So yeah, it's definitely, if you're into car stuff, go to the Toyota Museum. Then come to find out, I didn't realize it, but they weren't open because we were there on a Tuesday. They would be open on a Wednesday. So I guess go to Nagoya on a Wednesday. You can go over to, not far away is the Liberty Walk HQ, where they actually work on the cars.
Oh, not the little store you went to.
Not
later?
the little store I went to in Tokyo.
Okay.
And it was funny, as we were driving by on the train, there was one of those transport trucks, and it said Liberty Walk on it, so they must have been moving one of the cars to Tokyo, because then a few days later on Instagram, I saw that they did some photo shoot with one of them in Tokyo, so I was like, oh, that must have been it. So that was really, really cool. This is like getting towards the end of our trip. I didn't even cover, well, we're going to do another one where we talk about all the hobby shops, but because hobby shops are amazing there. But we went back to Yokohama, did a couple other things. Went to Tokyo Disneyland, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Just family stuff,
Yeah.
whatever.
So the last night I was there, I booked a tour, which was kind of interesting. If I'd rented a car, you could just do this as a rental car, but the tour was an interesting way to do it. So the cheapest, like you can rent like an R35 and they'll pick you up and drive around it. I'm like, I don't care because there's like,
Sure.
I'm like, whatever. So it was just like, it was another GR86, but supposedly had like the HKS tuned engine in it. I was like, sure. It was automatic. The kid was like some millennial. He was pretty cool, but he's from...
So basically, it's like an Uber for car enthusiasts.
Yeah, he was from Australia, moved there. He said like within the year. He's only been there for like less than a year. But just to do this, because he speaks English and he's into cars, to just pick up American tourists and just drive them around. But basically, they pick you up in Shibuya, which is that big, giant crossing area, at the Tower Records, the last Tower Records on Earth.
Very cool.
Because it's an easy landmark to find. So he picks me up.
That's also very Americana, and
Yeah.
they love Americana. So
Yeah. So there's tons of shops around there, and right around the corner is the Liberty Walk shop, which is basically just streetwear. He's like, it's kind of small, so he's like, we're not going to stay there very long. It's like, whatever. There's some die-cast in there, T-shirts. I bought some stickers.
Sure.
Bought a little die-cast. I was like, all right, whatever.
I'm not as into Liberty Walk, so
Sometimes there's a car out front, which is kind of cool.
I might skip that part.
The kids are really into it. I mean, you could ask them to skip it, but... So then he drove me, like, kind of through Tokyo a little bit. There's this really cool, like, dealer in there, like Bingo or Boingo or something. I forget the name of it, but he's like, oh, they have an F40 in the showroom. Want to go see it? I was like, yeah, we can go see it. I was like, I've seen an F40 before. He's like, oh. I was like, yeah, I've seen a lot of cars. But I was like, yeah, I'll go check it out. It's kind of cool. Because we actually spotted it while we were driving a cab somewhere. I forget how we saw it, but...
I saw it in the showroom from driving by.
We saw this crazy dealership. I didn't know what was inside. But then it was kind of interesting because it was kind of a nice way to close out the trip, because at the beginning of the trip, we drove through some of these parts of Tokyo. The outer islands of Tokyo in the bay are basically all man-made. They're all backfill. So he kind of drove us out through there, drove us past the fish market that we gone through. We did some laps of the classic highway runs that are around.
You kanjo raced?
Yeah. Or where all the historic kanjo racing would be. And then you take it out through Tokyo Bay down the highway out towards Yokohama to the Daioku parking area. That was
Very
part of the
cool.
tour. Because that starts around like 9, like every night. And we were on Thursday night, so like he's like, Wednesday nights are kind of quiet, but like Thursday nights are good. Friday nights get crazy. Saturday nights are insane. So he's like, I guess if I were to go again, Sunday morning is like what we would like. He's like, a lot of the older cars show up Sunday mornings. It's a lot quieter. It's more like a cars and coffee. Like I was like, yeah, I'd be more into that. Because there wasn't a lot of old cars that showed up, but it was just funny because it was like, all right, is this mostly tour groups or is this actually people? But some people show up.
Yeah, every car there is just
a lot of them
an
are
American in the passenger
a
seat.
lot of them are, and a lot of them are R35s. It's the most Liberty Walk R35. There was like 10 Liberty Walk body kit R35s, and they all have like little tour groups. You're like, that's kind of weird, but whatever.
Whatever, it is what it is. I mean, if that's what...
Yeah, it makes some people money.
This company exists now just to make body kits to bring tourists by their shop to look at their shop.
Oh, I know what it was.
To sell T-shirts.
Yeah.
Why do they make body kits? To bring tourists to their T-shirt shop.
Yeah, I guess whatever does it. Then, you know what it was? A few days earlier, I'd been trying to get to a, let's see, it's Autobox, and then what's the other one?
You talking about the used parts, Up Garage?
Yes, I did not make it to an Up Garage. I could not find one that was within a distance for me to get to with, just walking in transit that made sense. So, but I found when I was in Yokohama, I was like, oh, there's one that's like not that far away off the highway or off the subway, so I'll take it. It was like afternoon. You know, Marco and Stephanie were tired. They were just hanging out. I was like, I'm gonna go down there and go check it out. So I went there, checked it out. It was basically Pep Boys. I was like, this is...
You didn't find the exciting one. You found like the jobber one.
Yeah, I was like, this is not... I mean, it had some interesting stuff in there because they sold HKS parts and all that stuff, but there was like no cool stickers. I was like, oh, this kind of stinks. So
there was no streetwear for your streetwear purchases.
I was like,
yeah,
kind of. I mean, I was like, this is literally like... This is like Pep Boys was like 20 years ago.
Yep, before it became just a service center.
So I was like, all right, that's kind of lame. But so on this tour, part of the thing we did before we went to the Daioku was he brought me to the A-Pit Autobox store, which is the flagship store. That's the store you want to go to. Inside of it basically looks like Barnes and Noble,
But for car people.
but for car people. Like there's books and parts. There's a whole upstairs that's all HGS parts. Like you can buy every HGS part like upstairs.
Yeah, I probably would have bought a lot of books.
There's T-shirts, all kinds of stuff. There's a Starbucks inside. It's literally like, but I didn't buy anything because it was getting really busy and the line was really long. I was like, whatever, and I have enough stuff. That's definitely a place I would go back to. And they have a little parking garage. He's like, oh yeah, it's like a pre-meet. People do like a pre-meet and then they go to the Daioku.
Sure. It's like a meeting area, so you meet up there and then you all roll in together. To
Yeah.
Daioku.
Yeah. So that was pretty. Yeah, the Daioku is interesting. It's literally on an island in the middle of.
It's a man-made island, right?
Yeah, and it's in the middle of this big interchange. Like it's down in the middle of it, and there's a convenience store, Larson's, that you can get food there, and it's next to the police station. That's why it doesn't get that crazy there.
We have a Daikoku in Phoenix at the interchange.
Yeah.
Underneath all the 10 stack, but it's where they park all the wrecked cars from the 10, the 17, and the 101.
Yeah.
I've had to go there a few times for work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically that. And then there's a trucker area, and then I guess if you ever hear that it's been closed, it's because the police close it because the overflow has started to go into the trucker lot, and they get upset, so they close it.
Yeah, that makes sense. You got to keep it to its own good size.
And then I guess there's other places that people meet up that are further out in the bay.
On more man-made islands.
Yeah. It's really interesting. So
It would be the kind of thing it'd be fun to be there for a weekend with a car.
yes.
Like, I don't know, it's probably wild fantasy thought, but to buy a cool old car there and have it there for a while and then have it shipped back here.
Yeah, or just be friends with someone that probably has something. We probably know enough people that have something.
More than likely.
You can borrow
But
it.
I also want to have a car. My own car.
Yeah. There's other drives you can do. If I had more time, you can go drive like the Toge roads that are in like Initial D and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah, I'd love to put some money aside.
There's so much more.
And buy a car over there and just drive it over there for a while before I have it shipped home.
Yeah, there's so much more I could have done over there. It's crazy. Like I would.
All right, let's go back.
I see why people would go back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's go back.
Yeah.
I say let's go back. You go back. I'll go with you. You can be my tour guide.
I would probably go in the winter. I'd probably go. I guess I'd go check out Tokyo Auto Salon, but that would be definitely crazy.
The problem with that is there's so many other people there doing all the car stuff.
Yeah.
Is that the same time as the New Year's meeting? Because I'd like to go during the New Year's meeting.
I don't know. I'd have to look into it.
The New Year's meeting looks like it's definitely our speed.
Because I want to like ski in Japan, so I was like, I'd definitely go back in the wintertime. But
yeah, the New Year's meeting looks like our speed because it's all pre-90s stuff.
yeah, so this was, yeah, I didn't do all the car stuff, but I did a lot of car stuff that I wanted to do in Japan. I saw a lot of cool stuff. And
Yeah, no, I was sufficiently envious the whole time you guys were there. It looked like a good time.
yeah, it wasn't. It's funny, you don't spot a lot of old stuff just randomly on the street either because it's
also a big city.
yeah.
You're not out in the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
You probably see more of that stuff in the suburbs. Just like here, you're not going to see a bunch of cool stuff parked in downtown Boston because there's not going to be anything.
Yeah, but it was funny. I was talking to the tour guide. He's like, yeah, it's just like, he was like, everybody in the city, all the rich. He's like, everybody drives G wagons. I was like, yeah, that's the same in the United States.
It's the same in any big city, right?
I was like,
or anywhere in the world.
He's like, it's an even bigger. So yes, it's a flex because they cost a lot of money. But in Japan, it's an even bigger flex because it takes a bigger parking spot, which costs more money too.
More money. Yep.
So the bigger, more expensive your car is, the more expensive the parking spot is. So it's like you even have more money. So,
Wild. So suffice to say, there weren't a lot of big Dodge Rams.
No, you have to have a place to park your vehicle, and it has to fit your vehicle. So for them to even allow you to register it and own it.
And there aren't many people that have like a house with a yard in the city. So
it was interesting though, riding some of the trains in the rural areas. You'd go behind. The train tracks are behind people's houses, right? So there
Just
was
like here,
yeah, there were several houses we rode by that had like drag Camaros behind them, like drag prepped Camaros. I was like, that's interesting.
That's very cool.
And then like one of the first nights we were there, I like looked. It was raining. It was I like kind of I'm all like jet lagged. I like looked out of the taxi. I was like, oh, square body Chevy. That's cool. Wait a minute, I'm in Japan.
Yeah, that's a very random vehicle to import to Japan because it's so big.
Yeah, it's definitely a choice.
Person must live out in the,
or they could live in the city and just have a lot of money, a place to park it.
guess.
Because that was the other thing. Everything has like there's a lot of conversion vans, Chevy conversion vans.
Yeah, the Japanese
big
culture loves
Astrovans.
conversion vans, Chevy pickups, and Caprices and stuff. Like, it's very weird.
A lot of those, elevator style parking garages, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The car goes in, shoots up.
Yeah, I'd love to find some people in Japan to do like a car exchange program with, like, because we can buy Astrovans here for like $1.95. Like, hey, I'll give you 3 Astrovans for one JDM Starion, please.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I definitely go back to Japan in a heartbeat. Oh, the naked men in a pool thing, that was onsens. So you should definitely check out onsens. A little bit of Japanese culture.
Sounds like a good time.
It's it's just a very hot bath.
Sure.
It's a shared hot tub.
Well, listen, every culture in the world except for the United States has a similar version of this, I think. So,
well, the one at Mount Fuji was amazing because you're just sitting there relaxing in the super hot water, and they had like a half wall. It was open to the air, so it was kind of cold, and then you're just looking out on a sunny day right at Mount Fuji.
Yeah, it sounds like the ultimate relaxing for sure.
Yeah. Just follow the rules.
Yeah.
And you can't have tattoos.
Right.
Because of Yakuza. It's interesting.
So nobody can have tattoos, or just
nobody? If you have any tattoos, it's not allowed. You're not allowed to go in.
No, I mean in general. Forget the whole hot tub thing. Like, what is the tattoo culture there at all? Do you know? Like,
do
people have tattoos that are not in the gangs?
No. No. Pretty much, if you have tattoos, you're probably Yakuza. I mean, if you're a foreigner and you have tattoos, they don't probably assume it. But if you're Japanese and you have tattoos,
yeah, big tall white guy over there with tattoos is not in the Yakuza usually. No. So that's cool. It sounds like a great trip, and I want to take one myself. It's the thought of going to a country like Japan is just so overwhelming in my head.
It's a lot easier now, I guess, after my tour guide in the car was telling me a lot of the English conversions or English signage and stuff came from them preparing for the Olympics. There's been a huge boom in tourism after the Olympics. Sure. If you go online, I mean, it's like it's definitely over touristed in some places. Like Kyoto was just ridiculous and too much tourist stuff going on. Oh, that's what happened. I did try to do car stuff in Kyoto, because close to where our hotel was the Tomokaira dealership showroom.
Sure. The hot rod builders there.
I was
race car builders basically.
I was like, yeah, I'll go check that out, and looked it up. Said it was only open 1 to 5 p.m. or something on whatever day it was. Went over there, it was closed. I was like, damn it.
Yeah, it's annoying.
So I don't know what the deal is with that, but
a lot of places are probably tired of tourists coming all the time because they can't get any work done.
It is definitely just a showroom. It was
to
look at stuff, but it was just funny because it's I forgot where I was gonna go with this, but yeah, it's there's just a lot of tourism. I don't know. It gets really busy in certain places.
Well, you were telling me earlier that they're looking at adding a tourist tax to some places just to
they are because
combat the amount of tourists that are showing up.
The yen is so weak and the dollar is so strong currently that it's just stuff is getting more expensive. But I'm coming in with my American dollars converted, so
it goes much further.
It goes much further than people that are working there living on the yen.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's not ideal.
No.
For the local economy.
And you can see why people treat it I don't know, I try to be respectful when I travel, but you can definitely see some people don't, because they treat it, it feels like, it could feel like a amusement park to them. It's not. It's this is a real country, because
people live here.
You can literally get, there's these lost, it's funny, everybody talks about 7-Eleven. There's some 7-Elevens, but they're definitely scattered out further in the city because most 7-Elevens have parking lots. There's this other one, that the Lawson's chain, which I didn't know existed until our Discord members told me about it, because it came from Ohio apparently, but only exists in Japan now.
That part is interesting. I knew about it from Initial D or something.
Yeah, but they're everywhere. I was starting to joke that I was like,
Lawson's and Family Mart.
yeah, I was like, wherever you are, there's a Lawson's. Like, I should
Yeah.
make the jingle for it. But you can walk into this convenience store and get like food. Like basically, Marco lived on these Lawson chicken nuggets because he's a picky 5-year-old.
Sure.
But you can go buy a beer there for like 100 yen, 200 yen,
Which is about $1.
So cheap.
Yeah.
I'm like, you go to these hotels and they have like the mini. I'm like, why would I buy a beer out of the mini bar? I'll go across the street and buy like 5
For $5.
Or actually, they had like canned cocktails, which were amazing. I just
Okay.
buy those, and you buy like snacks, and it's like kind of a joke. It's like there's all these reels and stuff on Instagram. It'll be like, oh, what's the last thing you see before you go to a hotel in Japan? It's like the person walking into one of these convenience stores.
Sure. Yeah, I knew about them, but I knew about the products that were in them are better than like a 7-Eleven here.
Oh yeah,
But what I've heard is that 7-Eleven is doing a big, like, at least in the West Coast, a big change in
they
all
could.
their stores.
They brought that stuff over, yeah.
And they're trying to do a lot more like of the Japanese style of the
'Cause they're-
7-Eleven.
They're probably trying to compete now with like the East Coast stuff, like a Sheetz.
I mean, even we have our QT, which is a full kitchen in it.
Yeah,
You can get a full pizza. You can get a breakfast burrito. Like, you get all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff at a QT. You can't get, and you can get gas, and you can't get that stuff at, a 7-Eleven. All they have is prepackaged stuff.
yeah.
So,
But
probably
the
are trying to compete with that.
Yeah, but I mean, so yeah, so for some people that feels like an amusement park because you can just always get that stuff, and there's vending machines everywhere, and then
Sure. Yeah, give a lot of Americans access to $1 beers on every
Yeah.
street corner. It's going to be a bad time.
yeah, and this public drinking is okay. It's not really as long as you're like okay, as long as you're not like being a jerk about it, it's fine. You can
Right.
just drink.
But that's where the amusement park thing comes in,
Yeah.
like you're saying. People come in with the expectation of, oh, I can just drink in public. I'm going to
Yeah.
drink in public, and I'm going to drink like I'm in a bar in Ohio.
Yeah, and everything's popularized with Instagram, so all these spots that everybody knows about. So it gets super touristy unless you go kind of early sometimes. And then the other thing is like they make it easy to travel because they have luggage forwarding, which is the thing that blew my mind.
That's cool.
Which I think would only work in Japan because nobody steals your stuff.
But also, it only works in Japan because I can't think of a place in America where luggage forwarding would even work because there's so much distance between places.
Yeah.
And not enough people are going from the same place to the same place.
So it's that shipping company Yamato just basically runs it.
Okay.
You just bring your bags to the ones that do it. They take your bags. You give them the hotel phone number. It generates a QR code. They have little stickers that print out. You pay them whatever the yen is. It'd be like 20,000 yen something to like
So
send.
that's not cheap. It's $150.
Yeah, but if you don't have to lug 6 or not like 6 but 3 carry-on size suitcases. Because basically the reason why they did it is because you now don't burn a day traveling. Like you can actually send your luggage ahead and then spend your day touristing, and your luggage shows up at your hotel for check-in. You don't have to drag bags around all day.
Right.
That part of traveling where you're like, well,
Well, I know, especially like the last day when you're like, you have 7 hours before you're going to be at the airport, but you can't be in the hotel anymore, and I just luggage.
yeah, you're
dragged
just
around
dragging
you.
this bag around. So that was the only problem I had. I was not that far at the last hotel from the airport I was leaving from, and I went to forward him, and then the guy was like, "That'll take 2 days." I was like, "What?"
That doesn't help.
I was like, "That really?" He's like, "I was just very, very busy." I was like, "Okay, I'll just." But they'll also hold your bags. I was like, "Can you just hold them, please?" Like, yeah, I'll hold them. So I'll come back for them later.
Yeah, that's a more convenient service, I think.
Yeah.
Like, and I can see that happening in big cities here where you had like a luggage locker or something.
They have
along
luggage
those.
lockers everywhere
Yeah.
at different train stations. You can put certain train stations have full size lockers you can put a carry on size in, which
That's interesting.
yeah.
That I think I could see working here possibly.
But yeah, it's a very cool place. And then it ties in, I guess. Yeah, I think that's everything for Japan. It was funny because a few weeks ago, my local car museum, Lars Anderson, has a Japanese car display now.
Yeah, they had the big opening a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so our buddy Chris
Yep.
has his RX-7 feature. Isn't it 79? It's the yellow one.
I think it's a 79. It's definitely an SA, so
Yeah.
it's an early
Early
first gen.
car. Yeah, super cool car. He's got it inside the museum on display, which is cool.
Yep.
They had some other interesting stuff in there. Again, there was an LFA on the. I was like, "Yeah, seen one."
Seen one, seen them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I say I've seen like 3 of them last week, it's because obviously of the proliferation of money in the Scottsdale, Phoenix area. But there are 3 or there's probably 5 of them in Phoenix alone.
Yeah.
And they always go out to the same events. It's like, okay,
They'll
here
hang
it is
out
again. Yeah, here it is again.
Yeah. But it's, I don't know, whatever. They had some other interesting stuff in there. I forget. They had a couple of K cars. You know, not like the caliber level because they're just sourcing it from local people
Yeah,
here.
it's local owners here, not
but
Toyota.
But it's cool that the museum makes inroads to.
Well, that
do
museum,
stuff like
that museum has always been at the forefront of Japanese cars because if you remember, back in like probably 2006 or 2007, they started doing the Japanese classic car
They
show
did.
there.
They did.
Like, that's
But
huge. There was nothing else happening then except for the one in California.
But when you went on the inside, the upstairs would be like brass era stuff.
Sure.
And they finally started showing stuff that was much more modern.
Yeah.
And doing rotating stuff.
A couple years ago, they did a display of like East Coast hot rods.
Yes,
that was a really good.
That was
display.
really cool.
Yeah.
So that's going on right now. If you're in the New England area, go check that out.
They're supposed to have a Cars and Coffee this weekend.
I actually got the email that it was canceled because it's raining again. It's the
okay.
There's the weather part.
Well, then never mind. Don't go for that
it's
this weekend.
the 12th or 13th Saturday in a row that is raining.
Excellent.
They didn't even mention it. They just said, due to unforeseen circumstances, we were canceling it because they canceled the last one. So that was the other thing. I bought a ticket to go to this opening, and they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna. If you have a Japanese car, bring it. We can park it on the lawn. We're gonna have a whole thing."
And then it rained.
It poured that day. It was Friday night. It was,
they don't like cars on the lawn when it's too wet.
They had a tent set up, like a wedding tent, like a giant tent. There was a couple cars parked in there, but I wasn't. It was downpouring so hard. I was like, I'm not like torrential downpour. I was like, I'm not driving the Galant in a torrential downpour.
Just to park, they're all dirty.
Yeah, because also all the roads around there can flood.
Yep.
So I brought the Montero instead because it has a snorkel.
Well, the last time I was there was Radwood, Boston.
It rained.
And it was pouring rain that day, too, and the grass was wet.
It rains a lot here.
But I think there's still mud in the fender well of the Eclipse from that day 5 years ago.
But, yeah, I mean, that kind of covers my Japanese trip. So hopefully this gets us back to the groove here because we have a lot of other updates.
Lots to catch up on. I'm trying to even think of what else we've done.
I don't know. What do you think? That podcast?
It can be, or we can go into our project cars, or we can save that for next week because we got a lot going on.
I don't know. Should we give the people another half hour?
Sure. Let's go a quick synopsis so we can delve deeper later on. Where are you at with cars?
Before I left for Japan, I had put in the... Did I do this before I left for Japan? I believe I put the crankshaft in the Volvo and maybe fitted the pistons. And yes, because the last episode, now the title of the last episode is The Volvo Got New Pistons.
Perfect.
So that was done. Came back from Japan, and my dad and I threw the head-on. So, head went on the engine. It's got a valve train now. It's got the distributors on there. It's a fully dressed long block now.
Yeah, see, it's a valve-covered oil pan.
Yep.
I saw it yesterday.
Oil pump, new oil pump. That one was no good. We checked the clearances, so it's got a new one. Everything's in there. It's ready to go, basically. So it's ready to go in the car.
Most excellent.
I've got now... I realize the Mikunis were going to be really annoying to make work correctly because they were poorly cable adapted and not run with linkage.
It was a weird setup.
So I tried to find some SUs. Those didn't work out because they were too bad.
Yeah, we can describe this whole process next week.
So now I've got some Webers. I'm going to go DFCOE side drafts for it.
So good.
Yeah, just way too much.
Hey, listen, it is what it is.
It's a passion project.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Sunk costs.
It's the kind of stuff, though, like dual Webers like that, you could make it run on those, and then if you wind up not liking the car, you could spend a couple $100 and go back to a single carb setup and keep those for a different car.
Yeah.
They're universal enough, so it's fine. No stress.
So ideally, that engine goes in the car in the next week or so, and I've got new exhaust for it. You figure out the exhaust, make it fit and work.
And I saw your pretty 4-2-1 header for it.
Yep. I'm waiting for the manifolds for the Webers to come from
Sweden?
Sweden. There's tons of speed parts for Volvos from Sweden, unsurprisingly.
Sure. Well, it's like parts for a Camaro in America, right?
Yeah.
It's, go to where the car is from.
So actually, I went, ended up looking up online. The Redline manifold, people are like, oh, it's not that great. You can get better manifolds from Sweden.
Which is good because the red line one is not even available currently.
Yeah, so I found they're basically replicas of replicas of Volvo R Sport manifolds. So they're actually longer.
Very cool.
Which is good because you want a long intake on a street car anyways. Get some low-end torque.
Much better torque with a longer intake.
Yeah, you're driving it around town anyways. This car's not going to be up high. So, yeah, that car's coming right along. Hopefully in the next month it's running. At least, I don't know if I'll be driving it, but at least we'll get it running, hopefully tuned.
I mean, there's not much to get it driving once it's running. So
no,
just brakes.
Yeah, bleeding the brakes and making sure
shaft.
Everything moves. Yeah, and rebuilding the drive shaft. I did a lot of paint work to the engine. I restored the outside of the transmission, repainted it, cleaned it, degreased it.
Did you paint it gray or?
It's red. You saw it last night.
Oh, yeah. It's supposed to be red?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I would think it's supposed to be like a gray color. But
all Volvo red.
That's cool.
So, yeah, the car's not far. I found a throttle pedal on eBay. I found a guy sent me the linkage that was missing under the dash.
Yeah, we installed that last night.
I messaged him today, and I asked him if he had those clips. He said he'd take a look around. He had a bunch of Volvo parts. He's in, like, Portland, Oregon or something.
Sure.
I was like, yeah, I'll take a look around. I was like, all right, cool, thanks. If not, I'll find them somewhere.
Or figure out a way to make something.
Yeah.
You could probably make some kind of a strap that goes in place there if you had to.
Mm-hmm. So that car's not far behind. I don't think I've done much else. Maybe I have, and I don't remember.
I mean, you've been busy being a world traveler, so
I have to do brakes on the Volkswagen. That's turning into project car. Every car in a long enough timeline.
Every car becomes project car.
So,
project-wise, I haven't got a ton of project updates because the cars I've been using have just been working. I've done a bunch of off-roading with my truck.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't talked about that on the podcast. But to do a quick synopsis of what I've done, I'm going to forget the name of the trails now because it's been too long. But I did one entire day with a friend of the show and former host of the Gearbox podcast, Brian. He was in Phoenix, and he and Josh from Adventure Driven Design and myself did the trip up and around basically the Four Peaks in Phoenix, which is a super cool trail. It's nothing like super technical and super off-roady about it, but it's all dirt track, and spent a whole day out there, did like a picnic lunch. That was a good time. Then I did an overnight trip, just basically was kind of a shakedown for a friend's truck. Our friend at Italian Design and Racing, IDR_87 on Instagram, if you want to follow him along, has a Lamborghini LM002, otherwise known as the Rambo Lambo, with a Cummins in it, which is
weird,
super wild and weird.
What did it originally have?
It's a Countach engine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That sounds horrible.
It'd be a horrible vehicle off-road.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Multiple carburetors and... Yeah, it's a Lamborghini Countach.
Yeah, speaking of, like, side drafts, there's like 6 of them on that engine.
Something like that. He got the vehicle with no engine in it at all.
Ooh,
so
deal.
It was, much better to
just
swap
like us. That's the way I'd buy
Sure.
a Rambo Lambo just like that.
It was much better to swap in.
Was it $800?
Cummins. It's definitely not $800. I don't know what it cost him, but those are like well into the 6 figures when they're complete. So I don't know what an engineless one costs, but
a couple extra zeros at $800.
A couple, and then a different number other than 8 probably at the front. But nonetheless, he got it with no engine, and he had a Cummins engine. And when you have this, so it now takes the moniker of Rambo Lambo, and also means it makes it Ram
Oh,
because it has a Cummins in it. So it's like a Ram Bo Lambo. So that thing is super rad. I actually got to drive it the other day, and that was super cool. It looks pretty menacing out on the trails, but took that out there also with our other friend Josh from Adventure Driven Design and 2 other friends, and just did a shorter route, a little bit more technical than the Four Peaks route, but still not very technical, around it's called Bulldog Canyon. And we spent a night out there in one of the dispersed camping areas, and we're able to, set up and do the trip and do the camping and finish the trip the next day. And it's been nothing but success stories with that little Power Ram. So I can't complain about that truck at all. It's been so good. When I get back, I have plans to do a full stereo install because there's no radio in it at all right now. Well, let me rephrase that. It does have a radio in it as the factory head unit and no speakers. So the plan is to put a full, nice sounding stereo in there. Nothing ridiculous, just a nice couple of speakers and maybe a little underseat sub. And to retrofit all the air conditioning components back into the car. Again, not retrofit, actually repair the AC components that are in the vehicle because there's a factory or port installed AC on that. So, but yeah, zero complaints about that truck. That truck is so good. I love it so much.
nice.
So having a good time with that. Everything else has pretty much as it's stated. There's been some pretty big life changes at the house, so Naomi and I are excited to get some more projects done. Her Mustang project is still moving right along. I've moved all the dead cars around to finally get some work done on them because, as I've stated before, the Corolla is next in line because I get no compression in cylinder number 3, and that needs to be fixed so I can enjoy that car again. So that's coming up quick as soon as I get back to Phoenix. So 3 or 4 more days here in Massachusetts, and hopefully some heavy-duty updates coming up. But that's where we're at right now. So fun off-roading, no big projects, and that's life. That's car life right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I've only been working on that Volvo, which makes sense. Trying to get it done. There's not much else other than for scale project cars. I've just been doing some RC cars I bought in Japan. So
Sure. I've been doing a bunch of garage stuff. I can do a quick garage updates.
yeah,
I did build a workbench. It was my plan to have like a clean workbench that I don't work on real car parts on. So I have a place to do assembly of the same RC cars, model cars, any kind of hobby stuff that I have, slot cars, any of that kind of stuff will be worked on that back bench. I bought so it's from Home Depot. It's an 8-foot long Husky workbench with like a butcher block style top on it, and it has pegboard all in the back and some drawers in the front. It's super nice, and when you consider the cost of an 8-foot butcher block,
yeah,
it actually makes the most sense. Because an 8-foot butcher block were I think they're like $350. This whole thing with the metal, frame and drawers and pegboard in the back, I think was a little over $5. So it was kind of like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
We were just going to buy the butcher block and make something. And it was like, no, this just makes more sense. Plus, the butcher block comes finished. And when you buy a butcher block without this kit, they come raw. You have to finish them. So it's a no-brainer. It's made by Husky, and it's a killer deal. We put it together, and it's really good size. So it'll be really good for having a scale workbench out there. Hopefully, the other plan for that bench is to make it the podcast recording area as well.
Okay.
So it'll hopefully have like a small area for like electronic stuff, and then the hobby area on it. So that's all set up.
Signal booster out there.
We're looking into that as well. We need to figure out a way to do that because the biggest issue I'm having at my house in general, obviously, and part of the reason the podcast has been so delayed, is I have signal issues everywhere in my house anyway. So we're going to work on getting that signal boosted when we get back as well, just to make the podcast better. So everything's got to get better. We genuinely want to improve our remote recording and make it stable so that we can invite more guests. The problem is we've had some real issues with the remote recording to the point that we don't want to invite anybody on because we don't want to waste anybody's time.
Yeah.
So once we get this whole remote recording thing, it's like everything worked so great for so long, and then it just kind of everything went to crap. So
Yeah.
we got to figure out what's happening there. But we're working on it. We'll get there, and once it is stable and everything is working, we'll make sure we get some more guests on, because we know we want to improve this thing moving forward. It's going on 10 years, and it's time to make some changes.
Mm-hmm.
So no big changes, little changes.
But you know where you can hang out with us?
Discord.
On the Discord.
Every day, all day. We've even been there through this whole shutdown.
Yeah, exactly. So, anything else?
I think we'll end it there. That's a quick little synopsis of where we're at the end. We're back into it. We'll have an episode next week as well, hopefully, all things considered.
Yeah.
We'll make it work.
There's been some decent NASCAR races, Indy 500.
Yep. All kinds of motorsports to catch up on.
I believe Le Mans next weekend.
Sounds about right.
Nürburgring 24 hours coming up.
The season of endurance car racing.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit was last week.
I haven't watched the recap yet. I got to watch it.
I have both the endurance race and the IndyCar race.
The IndyCar race is good.
I have not watched either one of them.
I'm telling you, if you want to watch open wheel, IndyCar is where it's at.
Yeah.
I don't understand you people with your
F1.
Stockholm syndrome F1.
Yeah, it's weird. does not make sense.
All right, cool. So, as always, follow us on.
Oh, we're out of practice, Andrew.
Yes, we are. Auto Off Topic Podcast on Facebook. Auto Off Topic on Instagram, Threads. I am Racing Anger on Instagram and Threads. I'm also on Blue Sky if you want to follow me over there. We've got Scale Autocast on Instagram and Threads. I've been throwing some RC stuff up there. And Brad, where can they find you?
We had a couple people reach out to us on Facebook and Instagram.
They're worried that we're stopping the podcast. Thank you.
Wondering what was happening. So thank you, everybody who reached out. We do understand we just went radio silent and didn't say anything because it wasn't the plan. It just kind of became, we need this. So, but yeah, thank you for reaching out and thank you for your concern. And it helps remind us that we're not just yelling into the void and people are listening despite all our intentions and all our hard trying to make it go away. You're not going away, and we genuinely do appreciate that. So they can find me on Instagram at TSISS350, and that's basically it right now.
All right, cool. Keep yours analog and aim for the roses.